Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet.
Hi, I'm Mike Green. I'm one of the owners of 1AAuto. I want to help you save time and money repairing and maintaining your vehicle. I'm going to use my 20+ years experience restoring and repairing cars and trucks like this to show you the correct way to install parts from 1AAuto.com. The right parts installed correctly. That's going to save you time and money. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the front wheel bearings on this 1996 Ford Ranger. This vehicle is rear-wheel drive, two-wheel drive in the rear, and this procedure, there may be some variations by application, but this procedure is basically the same for any vehicle that's rear-wheel drive and has roller bearings in the front. Tools you'll need are jack and jack stands, half-inch 15mm, 19mm, and 27mm sockets. That will vary by vehicle. A breaker bar or pipe for added leverage if you need it, large flat blade screwdriver or small pry bar, pliers, hammer, a flat tip or round impact tool to remove the bearing races, race installation tools, or large sockets. You need sockets that are just slightly smaller than the races to drive them in. A piece of 2x6 or bigger to work on if you don't have a good bench, wheel bearing grease, and a torque wrench.
Okay, start out, there's a little slot in the cover. Screwdriver, pry that off. Okay, now your wheel is held in by 19mm bolts. If you don't have air tools, you'll want to start on the ground, loosen the lug nuts, then raise the vehicle. I'm going to use an impact wrench to remove.
Fast forward here as we remove the lug nuts and then remove the wheel and tire.
Okay, now with the wheel off, we can see our brakes actually are in decent shape on this vehicle. One thing you can do is on the rotors, just run the back of your fingernail up and down both the outside and the inside. Make sure you don't feel any large grooves, and then you can see the pads. They've still got probably 10-20,000 miles on them depending on how you use your brakes. But we'll show you how to remove it and reinstall the brakes anyways. Next thing you want to do is take the caliper off, which is these two bolts here. On this vehicle, these bolts are 1/2 inch. These might have been replaced, not sure, but yours could vary in size. They should come off pretty easy.
And we'll fast forward again as we finish removing those two bolts.
Okay, what you can do to get these off is take a large screwdriver or a pry bar, okay, and pry out on the caliper. That kind of loosens it up. Okay, your caliper comes up right here. And your brake pads, you see that one came right out, and this one pulls out the back. Okay, just gonna cut a little dust off of them. And you can see they are in pretty good shape. This groove right here is an indicator. Once that groove disappears, that's when you know they need to be replaced. Next thing you'll want to do is, if your rotor has a lot of wear on it or is in exceptionally bad shape, you'll want to replace that. And I'll show you how to replace your rotor. On the back side here again, you want to remove two larger bolts here and up here. These bolts are 15mm, and I'm going to use a piece of pipe, put the pipe onto my ratchet and pull for some extra leverage.
Okay, to get at that top bolt, I turn the steering back a little bit. That clears the way for the socket to get onto that upper bolt. And fast forward again here. Again, use the pipe wrench, or use the pipe, put it on the wrench. Also, if you have a breaker bar, that would work as well. And then pull the bolts the rest of the way out, and then the caliper bracket comes off.
With a regular screwdriver, I'm gonna pop this cap off. Should come off easy. Maybe need to use a hammer or something. But this is just the grease cap. And now inside here, you want to use pliers to remove this cotter pin. And then this cap comes off, and then there's a nut underneath there. Okay, you need those pliers. Bring this down. Sometimes the easiest thing to do is just pull and break that off, and then the pin comes right up and out, and then that comes off. This nut is 27 millimeters, and this on this truck comes right off by hand. That's not unusual. These are not supposed to be very tight at all. So take that nut off of there.
Okay, once that nut's off, you can just give it a little pull on the disc and you'll see the washer and bearing kind of pop out.
Actually, you can see my washer and my bearing come out. I'm just going to put my caliper back there, and my whole rotor comes out. Okay, on here there's a seal. This is a seal here. So you want to get a screwdriver or some other type of tool right in underneath there and pry that up. Okay, then after that seal is out, there's your inner bearing. Okay, so this here is your bearing race, okay? And you also have a race on the front part. So what you want to do is you need a tool like this, an impact tool, and you can kind of scrape away some of this grease so that you can see the rim. And if you look, my tool, I can scrape the hub and then it stops on that race. Okay, so once you get to that race, you want to drive that race out of the hub. Okay, a tool with a nice flat end.
Okay, I'm going to speed up here a little bit. Notice that I just use a couple taps in each location, and I kind of go back and forth. I'll tap on one side of the race, and then I'll tap on the other side, and then go over 90 degrees, and just kind of try and evenly drive it out of your rotor or drum or hub.
Okay. And there's your outer race out. Okay, so that race is basically just the cup that the bearing runs in. And now turn over the rotor or your drum. Oh, actually, let's take a rag. Just kind of clean out a little bit. Clean some of the grease out so we can get at that outer race.
And again here, I'm trying to evenly drive that race out of the back side, and doing that by just changing position often, and not ever really hitting it too hard, just hard enough to get that race out of there. And it will vary. Some vehicles, if that race has been there a whole long time and it's been corroded or rusted, you may have to work harder to get them out.
race for our inner bearing.
Okay, we'll end this video there. We've gotten the rotor off and all the bearings and races out, so check out part 2 to see how you reinstall them. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.1aauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.